Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be talking about 3 things I learned during my first ever grad portrait sessions. Not only did I have my first ever grad photo session this week, I actually had 3 of them back to back to back 3 days in a row. I learned a lot. There were some challenges, but they went exceedingly well. I'm very excited to share these pictures with you. All right, let's jump straight into these 3 tips and make sure you stay to the end for a bonus tip on a setting that's gonna make your portrait photography so much easier. So, without further ado. Number 1, control the stole. Now, I live in the Midwest, the mayonnaise guzzling, tornado blown, corn fed Midwest. So we get tornado watches and warnings all the time in spring here. Spring being when the soon-to-be grads want their portraits taken right before they graduate in May. So wind is a real factor during these shoots. I learned the hard way that the stole that lays over the shoulders is going to get blown away every opportunity it gets. They're made of paper mache or something. They weigh nothing, and the grads will never notice when they get blown off their shoulders until you say something or somebody looks at them funny. So how do you actually control it? One method is to use safety pins. Clip 2 safety pins at the bottom of the stole into the grad's shirt or dress. Just know that means that every photo you edit of them with the stole on, you are going to have to remove those pins after the fact. Method number 2 is to have your grad pose with their arms crossed. Now this works especially well for guys because this looks natural and is going to hold that stole flat against their torso in an organic looking way. Method number 3 is to have your grad hold the bottom of the stole between their thumb and forefinger. Maybe not as natural as crossed arms, but still comfortable enough, and it doesn't block the emblem on the stole or any of the design or the pattern that they might have. Last bonus method, use the wind to your advantage. Get the stole on over their open gown, lean into the wind, do a Superman pose, something like that, let it get windblown and crazy, have a really fast shutter speed to freeze that motion, and lean into it, okay? If you have something in your environment that's affecting your photos and there's a way to put a positive spin on it, then get those photos while you're there. So if it's gonna be windy, you can use safety pins to keep the stole pinned down, but know you're creating extra work for yourself later. Alternatively, you can use poses that work for you and feel organic without needing to do more work in post-production. Less pose, more lulls. Now what do I mean by that? Guys like to look comfortable and relaxed in their photos, right? They don't want to be overly posed. I found that I have to focus on giving more broad yet effective prompts and focus on inciting laughter. Guys will fall very naturally into positions they're comfortable with if instead of telling them to lean this way, pick up your left foot, cross your arms right over left, and you get very specific with it, if you keep it broad, if you say, lean on the pole, fold your arms, and lift a leg, they're gonna pick which leg they wanna lift, they're gonna choose which side they're gonna lean on. All of this stuff is gonna come naturally to them, and they're gonna end up looking comfortable and therefore good in their photos, as opposed to if you tried to prompt all of that body language specifically for them. Once they find a comfortable position, what you wanna focus on is inciting genuine laughter. I found that the best pictures I was getting were when I was cracking jokes, or his friends were teasing him, or I let him tease me, and he was laughing genuinely. Right when that laugh drops and they're smiling very authentically, that's when you press the shutter and you get amazing photos. Tip number 3, don't rush to reschedule. One of my sessions, there was a pop-up thunderstorm in the afternoon. The sidewalk and the pavement was getting soaked. So I called my client, I said, hey, it looks miserable. Let's reschedule this shoot for another day. Click, goodbye. An hour later, the sun comes out, it's partly cloudy, the sidewalks dry off, and it's perfect light for our pictures. Hindsight's 20/20, and I'm legally blind. Don't let the anxiety of what the weather is doing right now determine what you do about your session even just a few hours from then. Either way, it's still a last-second day of cancellation. If there's even a sliver of a chance that the session could still happen, then you should hold out as long as you can. Bonus tip! I promised you a bonus tip. So this is a camera setting that I recommend you use when you're doing your portrait sessions to make your life a lot easier. There are 3 layers to your autofocus settings. Layer number 1 is your focus mode. Most cameras have a human face/eye and an animal tracking mode. The second layer is the autofocus area mode. So this refers to which part of the sensor the camera is using to find focus. So you can have it range from a tiny pinpoint on the screen where it's only focusing on whatever's right in there, to the entire sensor, and it will look for a human face or eye within the entire frame. Generally, the latter is the more useful one for portrait photography because you might be moving around placing your subject in the upper or lower thirds of the frame or the left and the right, or you're going to be having them walk towards the camera and you want that focus to just track their face wherever it moves in the frame instead of losing focus and grabbing onto the background instead. So full area is what I recommend for most portrait photography. The third layer is continuous versus single shooting mode. So when you half press the shutter and get it to lock focus in single shooting mode, wherever you move the camera, no matter what your autofocus area setting is, it's gonna hold focus in that same spot. The other setting is continuous shooting, or basically the autofocus will continuously track your subject as they move throughout the frame, keeping them in focus. This is an important setting, and this is one I find way more useful for shots where they're walking towards the camera. Walking towards the camera is a very natural way to get interesting, attractive movement from a client, but it also means that your focus is changing constantly, especially if you're shooting at a really shallow depth of field, like with an f1.4. That margin of success with the focus is very narrow. So having it continuously track is very important because you'll get successful pictures through the entirety of their walk. Well, that's it for what I learned from these first 3 grad photo sessions. If you found any of that helpful or insightful, please let me know by dropping a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me to know that you watched this and gained something from it. If you have your own advice or tips that you want to leave in the comments, please do so. I want to hear from you so we can learn and share together. And until next time, thank you.